The mimosas kept flowing. Aunt Claire congratulated Mom on her business acumen. Uncle David discussed investment strategies for the windfall. My brother Jake calculated his share on his phone. Apparently they'd already divided my property among themselves. The smell of honey-glazed ham filled the dining room, mixing with expensive perfume and the sweet scent of anticipated money. I sat there with my fork halfway to my mouth, watching my mother accept praise for selling property she didn't own. The property I'd bought 4 years ago with my own money. The property whose mortgage I paid every month. The property where I'd spent last weekend replacing the dock. 3 serious buyers, Mom continued, her voice carrying that particular tone she used when she wanted to sound important. The Hendersons offered $2.3 million cash. Close in 30 days. I told them we'd consider higher offers through Wednesday. My sister Emma squeezed Mom's hand. You're amazing. Finally getting rid of that money pit she's been wasting funds on. That money pit. My sanctuary. The place I'd saved for since I was 23, working double shifts as a surgical nurse while my family vacationed in Europe on emergency loans, they never repaid. The Lakehouse they'd called frivolous and irresponsible when I bought it. The same Lakehouse they'd tried to use every summer weekend until I started saying no. When do we get the money? Jake asked, pouring himself more champagne. I've got some credit cards that could use attention. Mom smiled that satisfied smile. After closing costs and my commission, I did handle the whole sale after all. We should each clear about $450,000. They'd already divided it. 6 family members splitting the proceeds of my property. I did the math automatically. $2.7 million total. They'd inflated the sale price by $400,000 in their minds, probably to justify larger shares. I set down my fork carefully. The clink against the plate seemed too loud. Mom, what are you talking about? She waved her hand dismissively. Don't worry about the details, sweetie. I handled everything. You've never been good with real estate transactions. Remember when you bought that place? You overpaid by at least $200,000. I'm fixing your mistake. Fixing my mistake, I repeated slowly. The property was just sitting there. Wasted potential. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through what looked like real estate listings. See? I got professional photos taken. Hired a staging company. The place looks much better without all your clutter. My clutter. My furniture. My books. My life. Uncle David raised his glass again. To Margaret, who finally got that girl to see sense about liquidating assets. They all drank. I watched the crystal glasses catch the light, watched my family celebrate what they thought was their good fortune. The irony sat heavy in my chest. Not anger yet, just this suffocating awareness of how thoroughly they'd underestimated me. When did you take the photos? I asked quietly. Last week while you were at that nursing conference, Mom said. I still have your spare key from when you had the flu. The realtor and I spent hours getting everything perfect. Breaking and entering. Trespassing. I cataloged it mentally the way I catalog patient symptoms during triage. Evidence. Documentation. Facts. My phone buzzed. A text from Lisa Chin, my title company executive. On my way. Don't say anything yet. I texted her the moment Mom started talking, just 2 words. Emergency. Come. Lisa and I had closed on 7 properties together over the past 6 years. She knew my family situation. She'd warned me to keep my real estate portfolio private. 7 properties. Not 1. 7. The Lakehouse they were celebrating was property number 3. A modest investment compared to the downtown commercial building generating $18,000 monthly in rent, or the mountain cabin I'd turned into a premium Airbnb pulling $85,000 annually. I have a question, I said, keeping my voice steady. Who signed the listing agreement? Mom looked confused. I did, obviously. And the seller's disclosure? Me. Why are you being difficult about this? You should be grateful. I'm saving you from a terrible investment. Aunt Claire nodded. Your mother knows best, dear. You've always been impulsive with money. Impulsive. I'd built a $4.2 million real estate portfolio by age 32 through careful planning and sacrifice. They thought I was impulsive because I didn't loan them money anymore. Did you sign as yourself or as me? I asked. The question hung there. Mom's expression shifted slightly, just a flicker of uncertainty. Well, obviously I'm acting on your behalf. With power of attorney? Silence. Different quality now. Jake set down his phone. Emma stopped scrolling through paint colors for her new renovation budget. You don't need power of attorney, Mom said, but her voice had changed. Less confident. I'm your mother. The doorbell rang. I stood up slowly, feeling the weight of the moment. That'll be my title company. You're what? Mom's face went pale. I walked to the door. Through the frosted glass I could see Lisa's silhouette and two others. Taller. Broader. When I opened the door, Lisa stood there in her usual professional blazer, flanked by two police officers. Miss Chin, I said formally. Thank you for coming. Officers. Lisa's expression was all business. Ms. Rodriguez, we've reviewed the documentation you forwarded. The listing agreement, seller's disclosure and title transfer attempts. She held up her tablet. All contain forged signatures. The dining room had gone completely silent. I could hear the antique clock ticking in the hallway, hear Uncle David's champagne glass settle too hard on the table. Mom appeared in the doorway to the dining room. Her face had drained of color. This is ridiculous. I'm her mother. I was helping. Ma'am, the first officer interrupted. Did you sign your daughter's name to legal documents without her authorization? It was for her own good. Lisa stepped forward. Mrs. Rodriguez, I'm the title officer for Ms. Rodriguez's real estate portfolio. 7 properties currently, total value approximately $4.2 million. The Lakehouse in question is titled solely in your daughter's name, purchased 4 years ago with her funds, mortgage in her name only. 7 properties? Emma's voice cracked from the dining room. The listing you created, Lisa continued, used forged signatures on legally binding documents. You hired photographers and a staging company to access property you don't own. You collected earnest money deposits from 3 potential buyers, $50,000 total, under fraudulent pretenses. The second officer had pulled out handcuffs. Ma'am, I need you to turn around. Wait, what? Mom's voice went shrill. This is my daughter. Tell them. All eyes turned to me. The family had crowded into the hallway now. Jake, Emma, Aunt Claire, Uncle David, cousins I barely knew. All of them holding champagne glasses, still dressed in their Easter pastels, watching their celebration curdle into catastrophe. I thought about every time Mom had called my real estate investments stupid. Every time she demanded I loan money to Jake for his business ventures that never materialized. Every time she'd made me feel small for being careful with money while she spent freely and expected me to catch her when she fell. Officers, I said clearly. I did not authorize any sale, listing, or access to my property. I did not sign any documents. I'm pressing full charges. Mom's face went from pale to red. You ungrateful, after everything I've done for you. Everything you've done? The words came out harder than I intended. You broke into my house. You forged my signature on legal documents. You collected $50,000 in earnest money that isn't yours. You plan to steal $2.3 million. It's not stealing, she screamed. You're my daughter. What's yours is mine, I finished. What's mine is mine. Wiggly. Actually. The first officer was reading her Miranda rights. Mom was crying now, mascara running, reaching for me. Please. Please don't do this. I made a mistake. I'll fix it. Emma stepped forward. Come on, this is insane. He's our mother. You can't actually. She committed multiple felonies, Lisa said flatly. Wire fraud, forgery, theft by deception, breaking and entering. The district attorney has already been notified. This isn't a family matter anymore. The earnest money, the second officer said, clicking the handcuffs into place. Where is it? Mom was sobbing. I spent some. The staging company was $8,000. The photographer was $3,500. I bought a car. The deposits were supposed to be replaced when you stole $2.3 million from your daughter, the officer finished. They let her out. My family stood there in the hallway, still holding their champagne glasses, watching their matriarch get walked to a police car on Easter Sunday. The ham was getting cold in the dining room. Someone's phone buzzed. Nobody moved. Jake found his voice first. You're really doing this? To Mom. Mom did this, I said. To herself. And to me. Over a house. Aunt Claire's voice dripped disbelief. You're sending your mother to jail over a house? Over 7 properties, Lisa corrected. Over $4.2 million in assets your niece built herself. Over systematic fraud. You have 7 properties? Emma whispered. But you always said. I never said anything, I interrupted. You all assumed. You assumed I was barely getting by because I don't buy designer bags. You assumed I was struggling because I work full shifts. You assumed I needed Mom's help because I'm younger than Jake. Uncle David set down his glass. The commercial building downtown. The one with the new restaurant. The listing said Rodriguez Properties LLC. That's mine, I said. Bought it 3 years ago. Generates $18,000 monthly in rental income. The mountain cabin on Instagram, Aunt Claire said slowly. The one with the luxury Airbnb listing. Wine. Pulls $85,000 annually. The math was happening on their faces. The realization. They'd been treating me like a financial burden while I'd built an empire they couldn't comprehend. But you work as a nurse, Jake said weakly. I love being a nurse, I replied. The real estate is my retirement plan. My security. The thing I built when everyone told me I was wasting my money on stupid investments. My phone buzzed again. Lisa glanced at it, then at me. The buyers are being notified. The earnest money will be returned to them from your mother's accounts. What's left of it? She'll owe the balance. How much? I asked. After her spending? Approximately $38,500. Emma made a strangled sound. She doesn't have that. Then she'll need to explain that to the judge, Lisa said. Along with explaining the forgery, the fraud, and the attempted theft of $2.3 million. The front door was still open. I could see the police car pulling away, could see neighbors on their porches watching, could see the perfect Easter Sunday dissolving into neighborhood gossip that would last years. I need everyone to leave, I said quietly. We haven't finished brunch, Uncle David started. The brunch where you plan to divide my stolen property? My voice stayed level. That brunch is over. They filed out slowly, setting down champagne glasses, grabbing purses, avoiding eye contact. Emma paused at the door. She's still our mom. And I'm still her daughter, I said. The one she tried to rob. When the house was empty, Lisa and I stood in the hallway. The clock kept ticking. The ham was definitely cold now. You okay? Lisa asked. I thought about it. Thought about the ghost ledger I'd never written down but always carried. Every time Mom called my investments silly. Every time Jake borrowed money and never repaid it. Every family gathering where they treated me like the irresponsible one while planning how to spend money I'd earned. The gambler's fallacy. I kept proving myself, thinking eventually they'd see. But they never wanted to see. They wanted me small, manageable, indebted. Because small meant controllable. And controllable meant their ATM never ran dry. I'm okay, I said finally. I need to change the locks on the Lakehouse. Already scheduled, Lisa said. And I'd recommend security systems for all 7 properties. I have a company I use. 7 properties. Built one careful decision at a time. While my family drank champagne and planned my downfall, I'd been building fortresses they couldn't breach. The restraining order paperwork, Lisa continued, should be ready by Tuesday. And Margaret's bail hearing is Monday morning. What's the bail likely to be? For this level of fraud? $75,000 minimum. She didn't have it. None of them did. They'd spent their money on champagne and assumptions, on designer bags and the fantasy of effortless wealth. They'd counted my money in their heads for so long they'd convinced themselves it was already theirs. 6 weeks later I sat in my Lakehouse. New locks, new security system, new peace. The dock I'd repaired swayed gently in the evening breeze. The water reflected the sunset in shades of gold and pink. Mom took a plea deal. 18 months, suspended sentence, 5 years probation, $38,500 restitution, and a permanent fraud conviction on her record. The family fractured around the fallout. Some blamed her, most blamed me. I stopped going to family events. Stopped answering calls from anyone with my last name except my grandmother, who sent me a card that said simply, "Proud of you." Always knew you were smart with money. Jake filed for bankruptcy 3 months later. Emma lost her apartment. Uncle David's can't-miss investment collapsed. They'd all been living on the assumption that eventually my money would bail them out. It won't. I hired a property manager for the commercial building. The mountain cabin is booked solid through next year. I'm closing on property number 8 next month. A beach condo that will round out my portfolio perfectly. Every time I write a mortgage check, I remember Mom's face when Lisa said, 7 properties. The rage. The disbelief that I could build something without their knowledge or permission. They wanted to liquidate my assets. Instead, they liquidated their credibility. I'm having dinner with my grandmother next week. Just the 2 of us. She wants to hear about property number 8. Mom sent a letter last month. 3 pages of apologies and explanations. How she was trying to help. How she didn't understand. How family should forgive. I haven't responded. Because family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who respects your boundaries. Who celebrates your success instead of trying to steal it. Who asks permission instead of forging signatures. I built 7 properties they tried to liquidate. Instead, I liquidated them from my life. The Lakehouse is still mine. All $2.3 million worth of it. They'll never set foot here again. And I've never slept better.